Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. Joining me is Mr. Joe Smith. Smithy, which I never call you. I don't know why I've just started.
Let's do it.
We're talking about your Roy Keanes. Yeah. Your Peter Davenports. Your Neil Webbs. Yeah. Your Anthony Elangas. There's a proper connection between these two clubs. It's a big game. Manchester United had a bit of a stuttering start so far this season, but 3 words. Rasmus Hojlund. Yeah, is he going to be our saviour in this one or what?
You Dean Henderson's.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm scared to say that he needs to be, because there's a fine line, isn't there, between confidence and expectation, and then basically burying someone under a mountain of pressure. And unfortunately, 1 win from 2 games, and even the win being hugely unconvincing, is the beginnings of a mountain of pressure that isn't really fair on Rasmus Hojlund. He's literally, let's be honest, everyone's looked at him since 12 months ago, no one had heard of him. He's not like, oh, you know, he's been around for,
well,
like...
I think his parents would beg to differ.
Was it Sturm Graz, was it 12 months ago or wherever? And then he was, before that, was at Copenhagen.
It's unknown.
But wherever he was, sorry. I know he was at Copenhagen. He was released by Copenhagen 2 years ago. Don't tell me anyone was saying United should be signing him then. Like, he is literally a relatively unknown player from a decent-ish league where he has done quite well. Yeah. Like, this idea that he's going to come in and be United's saviour is, obviously it's possible, and I don't want to say he's not good enough to do that, but that shouldn't be the expectation, and it's a shame that we're in a position where, as we can see on the graphic there, or on the screen, sorry, that we're reading from, United are 3.42 goals behind our XG already. Right. We've scored 1 goal from 4.42 XG. Like, we're already in a position where we aren't scoring enough goals, we're making chances, and we're missing them. And then you bring this striker in and go, right, well, you know, win us games then. It's a lot, isn't it? I'm really looking forward to seeing him and hopefully be available. It looks like he will be. But it's going to be tricky, this, isn't it? Because there's a lot of money. But he's a young, like, what, are you worried almost, or are you just excited? How do you feel about this?
Bit of both. Like, I think you're right about the pressure. There is a lot of pressure on this young lad. I mean, it's ridiculous, the sort of the way we're looking at him already to be our saviour. And I think saviour is a bit of a strong word when you're 2 games in and you've won one of them. But we know we need a number 9, and we know that Andy Martial has his issues. We know that Marcus Rashford doesn't really suit that role. So we're looking at, like, okay, who else is there? There's no one other than the new signing. In an ideal world, we would have bought 2 strikers. I was saying that all through the summer. I was saying it last season. We need to go out and buy 2 strikers. In an ideal world, we'd have Harry Kane and Hojlund as a backup. But we're not in an ideal world. We're in a Glazer-led world where we've got 1 striker, a young, relatively unproven kid who now has to step up. And I think he suffered a little bit by the sort of basic argument as well. He's from Scandinavia and so is Haaland, and he's called Hojlund and Hojlund's called Haaland, so he's going to do what Haaland did at City. He's nothing like Erling Haaland. He's nothing like him at all. And we can't remotely expect anything approaching the amount of goals Haaland scored for City for this kid coming into United. So there is pressure on him, but we bought him for a reason. And people look at it, last season, he didn't score loads of goals, but he scored, you know, he did find the back of the net quite a few times. And he's obviously a very talented young lad. And I just hope we sort of nurture him in the right way. We use him in the right way. I doubt it, but I hope, rather than expect it, that we can sort of bring this kid in the right way, get him playing, give him the service he needs and let him shine. And if he can come on in his debut and get a goal and get off to that good start, then that'd be phenomenal. You mentioned there the fact that we've got 3 points from a first possible 6. Underwhelming performances. The second half against Spurs was abysmal. Almost the entire game against Wolves was pretty much abysmal as well. As you'd expect, we've had a reaction. Has it been an overreaction? From when I say reaction, I mean from pundits, from the press, even from fans, and I'm guilty of it myself. We've all gone, oh, what's going on? Has there been an overreaction, or do you think it's appropriate because of what we've seen on the football pitch so far?
Yeah, it depends what the expectation is, isn't it? I think a lot of us sort of somewhere deep down were hoping that we could maybe push into, you know, the start of next year and still be in with the shout of a title. Do you know what I mean? I think, not that we expected a title, obviously, but in my head I was thinking, well, you know, we were first, on the 1st of January, was it 2020 or whatever, we were top of the league under Solskjaer. maybe something like that could happen again. Maybe we could just be in the conversation. And straight away it looks as though that's an unlikely expectation, or even a dream that may be crushed immediately. But I do think that it's still an overreaction. If the expectation is to win the league this season, then it's not. But it isn't. The expectation is to build towards that over 2 or 3 seasons. And I think we haven't had a striker. Ten Hag hasn't had a proper striker for the first full year of his tenure at United. He hasn't had a proper striker so far this season. Like, there's a lot of situations that are still up in the air at United. And like the ownership, the Greenwood thing that's been going on for 18 months, we don't have any strikers. Like, there's still anywhere but settled at United. Like,
isn't it weird at United as well, right? It's like, do you ever, Jerry Seinfeld, where he talks about people working at a cinema? Yeah. And he says, you've got like 2 ages. You've got the kid who sells you the ticket who's 16, and you've got the guy that takes the ticket off you who's 83. Yeah. And it's like, in the course of their lifetime, they've moved 1 metre or whatever, or 1 yard.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
At United, it feels like with strikers, you've either got the unproven child, or you've got the 35-year-old or 36-year-old who's winding down his career.
That's all we've had for the last few years.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we're capable, other than maybe Romelu Lukaku, right, going out and getting a striker, an out-and-out striker, who's not either in the autumn of his life, or not his life, his footballing lifetime, or barely out of nappies. It's like, can we not have a happy medium? I'm not having a dig at Hojlund, obviously, but it's like, we're in this sort of, it seems some weird approach we have to signing strikers.
Yeah, so I think when you factor all that in, I think it is an overreaction. I do think that, we need to look at Arsenal and City in terms of how settled they are. They've had the managers for 3 or 4 years. Like Arsenal, you look through their team, there's obviously improvements that could be made, but they've got a striker, they've got 2 centre-backs, they've got a goalie or 2 now that they like, they've got a midfield that they like, their wingers are relatively set. Like, what's going on there. Yeah. And I know Jesus has had injuries, but they've got players in each position who they like, who will start if they're fit. Even if United's team's fully fit, I don't know who starts up front for us. No. I don't know who starts on the left for us. I don't know who starts on the right for us. Like, that's not a good position to be in. So I think that we've got to factor all that in when we put our expectations out there.
Longer term, do you feel any confidence at all? Because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I think Kobe Mainoo's a great player. Hojlund is obviously one for the future. Garnacho is still a kid. Yeah. Or do you think that you can counter that? Because me and you spoke about this a lot, and I don't want to get sidetracked, but we'll talk about this quickly. By the fact you've got Varane, Casemiro, Eriksen, ain't got too many years left in him. Yeah. Where do you stand on that? Do you sort of think we're in a good position, or do you think it's sort of average?
I think if Ten Hag continues to be the manager that I think he is, every team has rotation and players that come and go, and I think they're replaceable. We've just got to get better at doing it. The problem is that when Carrick sort of left, or sort of went off the boil in terms of that type of play, we took too long in bringing Matic in. And then when Matic went off the boil, we took too long in bringing Casemiro in. You look up front, we still haven't replaced, let's be honest, Wayne Rooney, really. Like, Rooney was scoring goals for us, then we bring Van Persie in, obviously had an amazing season, but was a short-term option. Then you bring in Lukaku, who never really did it the way we wanted him to. Then it's Ronaldo, Cavani, Igalo, who else? Weghorst. Like, it's these stopgap. Like, we're still reeling from Wayne Rooney not being at the club. That's ridiculous. No, so it is. If Ten Hag can spot these things earlier, have the backing to replace people the right way, we can go from Varane to the next centre-back, or Casemiro to the next defensive midfielder. But we've just got to have the right manager, and I still think Ten Hag is the right manager, definitely.
100%. With all that being said, then let's get into predicted 11s. Because I think the last time me and you have done this, we've ended up with the same team. But we'll go through your team first. Talk us through it. I mean,
back 5. I've only changed Wan-Bissaka for Dalot. I think Dalot looked really sharp and quick when he came on against Tottenham. I think Wan-Bissaka's been decent, but his defensive acumen isn't stopping opposition teams create chances, which isn't his fault, but it's not as though his defending means that United don't concede. We've been awful defensively, and again, I'm not blaming him for that, but he's not helping enough for his defensive work to be a net positive, I don't think. And Dalot I thought, when he came on against Spurs, he looked really driven. He was really going for it, whipping balls in, trying to go past people. I would give him a chance. And then that midfield, we've got to change now. Mount's out. I'm just bringing McTominay straight in. I know you can sort of maybe fiddle things around, maybe bring Eriksen in, and maybe it will be Eriksen. That was the only one where I wasn't sure what to do with that position. But I think McTominay, slot him in there, have someone who's a bit more energetic, who can track back a bit more. We've missed that this season. We've been ran through too often. And then the front three, it's that 2022-23 pre-season front three, isn't it? And we need some way of getting Rashford back on the left-hand side. And I think, if Hojlund's fit, put him up front. But if he's still coming back, Martial played against Tottenham. He came on.
He played against Burnley as well, from what I gather.
Yeah, he did.
Behind closed doors game. I know that was pretty much the resis, but he's had some minutes against a decent team. And also, from what someone was telling me, was that Burnley played a strong team.
Okay.
Their strong team. We played our resis. They didn't play their resis. That's what I've been told anyway. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So
get Martial in.
A practice.
Mostly for the sake of getting Rashford on the left rather than having Martial up front. Get him in. And I think Anthony's been poor to start the season. Sancho looked sharp when he's come on, so give him a chance. Put Sancho on the right. That's what I'd go with.
It makes a lot of sense. When you say McTominay there, are we having two defensive midfielders against Forest? That's my question.
Well, I think McTominay isn't really a defensive midfielder. I think he's been asked to play there in the past because of a lack of a Casemiro. But if you say to McTominay, you're the box-to-box midfielder, he's got a decent shot on him. I don't think he's a great player. And maybe, like I said, Eriksen was the one question mark in the team. I wasn't sure who we'd go for. But somehow we've got to stop teams passing round us and just running straight through the centre of the pitch. And McTominay just is physically stronger and quicker and has more energy than Eriksen. So that's why I've gone with him. But I see the point about Eriksen. It could go either way.
If you go to my teams, you can't sort of... I'm not criticising too much because I've got the same midfield. I've gone with Wan-Bissaka right back.
Yeah.
I just think he's a better player than Diogo Dalot. I like Dalot. I just think at this time now, I know we're only 3 games in. We want to win. Play your better player. For me, it's Wan-Bissaka. Okay. I'm starting Hojlund. I'm going with him. I think there's talk that he's going to be available for this game. Chances are it'll be from the bench. But I think if he's going to come on for United, or he's going to play for United, give him a start. Yeah. Let's go strong. And if you need to take him off because he's a bit goosed, then do that rather than the other way around of bringing him on. If we're, God forbid, chasing a game, because we're talking about adding pressure to players.
Yeah.
If it's 0-0 or even worse, and it's like, right, not only do we need you to get goals, we need you to go and win this game for us because we're losing.
Yeah.
I think that could add to it. So I just start a kid, and not, if he's a bit knackered or we need to mix it up, bring Martial on because, like I said, Martial's had some games recently, and I still think he can do a job, Martial, if he's fit. I think it's too easy to just forget that he's a decent player. He's just made of glass.
I can already see the tweets though. People, if we don't beat Forest or if Hojlund comes off for Martial, it'll be United spent 65 million on Hojlund and he's getting subbed off for Martial when they're chasing the game.
100%. They're in drafts now.
Yeah.
People are sat waiting to press that send button.
Everyone whose Twitter handle starts with the letters CFC or Arsenal or Gunner or LFC are already writing that.
And the end of the tweet will be finished club.
Yeah, finished club.
Finished club. Yeah. You know it, right? Yeah. Guarantee it shows the day is long. Opposition, finished club. That's what you always see in those tweets. Opposition, I'm not going to pretend I know loads about Forest.
Well, come on then.
But we do know that Anthony Elanga's there.
Yeah.
He's been talking about, his time at United. He's given some interviews. Is he going to feature? I know he's not necessarily a starter for Forest. I don't think he's started so far, but... Are you worried that he could come on and do something? Or
you'd chance it, wouldn't you?
I'm focusing on him. Obviously, they've got more important players for him. But
if I was managing Forest, I would make sure that Anthony Elanga plays at least 15 minutes of this game.
Yeah.
Because why not? It's just a bit of a thing, isn't it?
It stinks of the Forest fans singing, "Whoa, it's Elanga," at the 90th minute as he bangs in the winner, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you could see him knocking it past Luke Shaw, for instance, who's kind of, half-arse jogging it back, hoping that Rashford's going to overlap and save him. Elanga's good at a couple of things, and one of them is running in behind and using his pace essentially. And this season so far, we've been horrendous against pace. Right. So I could see it. They've been all right, haven't they, Forest? I think second half against Arsenal, I thought they looked good. First half wasn't great, and also then a hard-fought win against Sheffield United, which is the sort of game that they need to be winning this season, isn't it? Yeah. And Wood saving the Forest.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you can't see the wood for the forest.
Right, okay, don't milk it.
Chris Wood logs his first goal of the season. So
you're barking. Right, let's give the score predictions.
We're going to chop him down, boy. You know what I mean? Deforestation.
Right, we can go forever, but for the sake of sanity, we won't.
Right.
Give us your score predictions. Or score prediction rather than plural.
Got to win.
Yeah.
Got to be a clean sheet. It's like we did snap into gear last season against Liverpool, didn't we?
Yeah.
It wasn't like an evolution. It was a clunk into gear,
Right.
and we looked really good for a good long time after those 2 first opening games. So I don't necessarily think that we're miles off. I think we've seen Ten Hag can change something, and it makes a big difference. So I think we'll win. Again, we need a clean sheet. We still don't score many goals, so I'm just going to go 1-0.
1-0 makes sense. I'm going to go 2-1.
Go on.
I think it might be one of those where Ilanga or someone scores for Forest, and then we rally and end up getting a late winner. Hopefully it's Rasmus Hojlund. Get your phones out, film yourselves like that in landscape, giving us your score predictions, and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Do 30 seconds, just give us your score prediction, who the scorers are, send that in, and we'll use you for the watch along as the sort of build up to the watch along. We'll get you on the channel, so make sure you are doing that. You're going to be here for the watch along, aren't you?
Yes.
Do you know who your co-hosts are going to be?
Big time.
Big time.
Me, Scotty,
yes,
etc.
Etc.
Yeah.
I love etc. Right, so make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. We'll have all the match day coverage. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93, Instagram and Twitter.
You know where to find me as well.
Yeah.
So this has been the Forest preview. That's been Joe, I've been Jay. Thanks for watching.